Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of the MBA Spotlight brought to you by GMAT Club. I hope you all are healthy and all keeping fine. Uh, Today on the panel, we have SMU Cox School of Business tuning in all the way from Dallas, Texas. And representing the school, we have the lovely Gail Saegert, the Associate Director of Admissions at the school. Hi, Gail. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ankit. Thanks for having me today. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing great as
I'm
well.
doing great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for taking the time out for doing this with us. So the format is going to be we have a presentation by Gail for all of our viewers, and post the presentation, if time permits, we'll have a small Q&A. I hope that's good with you, Gail.
Sounds excellent.
All right, over to you, Gail.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us today. My name is Gail Saegert. I work on the full-time MBA team at SMU Cox. So a little bit about me. I've been at SMU in Dallas for about 2 years now. Been working in business schools, though, at a variety of different programs across the US and the UK for about 7 years. Really enjoying seeing students go through their MBA journey and have that transformation at the end for after graduation. All right, so today we have a short time, so I'm going to take a quick deep dive into SMU Cox in general. Then most of you are focused on our full-time MBA programs. We do have other programs. Feel free to reach out to me if those are of interest, whether that's working professional or specialized masters. But I'm really going to focus on our full-time MBA. We have 2 options for that. Then talk about the big one, the career support, admissions, and then like Ankit said, we'll have some Q&A at the end as well. All right, so people want to go back to business school for a variety of reasons, whether they want to increase their network, get a promotion within their industry. There's a wide range of different reasons for different people. And at SMU Cox, we really wanted to talk to our students and talk to our employers, our corporate partners, our faculty, our staff. And every couple of years, we reinvent our curriculum. We take a step back and we look at everything. And we want to make sure that we're teaching our students what they need to be successful in the classroom. So about a year or so ago, we did a whole revamp of our program, making sure that we were focusing on 3 different pillars. The first is leadership. We really found that it's important for students not to just build those quantitative skills, but also to work on those softer skills. Make sure they're able to work with a variety of different people, whether that's diversity in gender, nationality, diversity of thought, and also making sure that they're able to lead teams and have presentation skills. And we really focus on that in our Business Leadership Center, as well as in our M&O coursework. The next thing that we focus on are data analytics. Employers told us no matter what industry you're working in, you need to be able to use data to solve business problems. So what we did is we changed our core class on business analytics from 7 weeks to the whole semester, a 14-week class. Really taking a deep dive into a project-based atmosphere in that class. Currently, our students work on a project for the bed-in-the-box mattress industry, so Casper, Luna, Tuft & Needle. Those are some companies they're working with. And doing presentations from a marketing, supply chain, and a variety of different general management perspectives, all using data. But it doesn't just stop in that core class. Our other classes involve data, and we also have a concentration, which I will get to later on. The third thing we focus on, experiential learning. Very big at whichever business school you end up deciding to go to make sure that you're able to use the skills you learn in the classroom right away. You're not just waiting for that internship or waiting until you graduate to put what you learn into practice. You're taking a couple of years out of working full time, and you want to be able to make sure you keep yourself fresh, continue to build that resume. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into experiential learning. I like to put experiential learning into 3 buckets at SMU. The first bucket is on campus. So we have different classes, different practicum courses where you dive into the community and you are put with a firm maybe and you're investing part of the endowment, or we have centers and institutes on campus where you're working with faculty, whether it's in the energy industry, the consumer insights industry, and you're really incorporating that into the classroom experience. You can also do that through clubs on campus. So whether that's through professional clubs, our consulting club, our energy club, you get the point, different industry clubs. Then you have social clubs, which are a little bit more networking based, where you get to know your classmates a little bit more on a different side. So we have a foodie club, different athletic clubs, and then we have affiliation clubs as well. So our International Business Club, Veterans in Business, Women in Business, and really students are able to dive in and get to know each other, but also give back to the community a little bit. Which leads me to my next bucket of experiential learning, which is utilizing Dallas. We're really lucky and fortunate to be located in one of the greatest cities in the US as far as Fortune 500 companies go. Personally, like I said, I've only lived in Texas for about 2 years. Had no idea there was the second most Fortune 500 companies in the US. I figured New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas is right up there. And we really utilize those companies for projects as well as for career aspects and getting our students involved in the community. As you can see, one of the ways we do that is through our nonprofit consulting program on campus. These are some companies we worked with last year during the pandemic. It was a little bit of focus on healthcare and education. This takes place in January, so I'm eagerly awaiting the list of companies to come out for this coming semester, but it's an outside of the curriculum program run through our Business Leadership Center. And the Business Leadership Center does a great job of also connecting students to a lot of other opportunities, bringing in corporate speakers, running seminars. They have about 90 seminars a year. But we also have students that go to the Disney Institute in Orlando. So with that, we're the only business school that has a partnership with the Disney Institute. It's usually reserved for companies, and we take students there every late December, early January, make sure they experience the parks, but also look at the brand side of Disney, look at the customer service, the supply chain, how far apart are the garbage cans placed, how do they work with queue management, and making sure that students go underneath the tunnels of the park and really get to see the other side of things. So those are just a few things that our Business Leadership Center offers, but we really love to take advantage of our location in the heart of Dallas. Taking that one step further, that third bucket of experiential learning is through our international opportunities. Both of our full-time MBA programs, which I'll talk about in just a minute, have a global leadership program built into the curriculum. The cost for this is included in tuition and through endowment, and students go at the end of their first year, if they're in the 2-year program, or at the end of their program, if they're in the 1-year program, to another region of the world for about 5 to 10 days. Before they go, they're working on a complex problem-solving consulting type of case, whether it's for a Fortune 500 company or a nonprofit company, working a bit on the ground, and then they go to the region, do some surveys, do some work in that country, and then present to executives at that company. Of course, there's also some social and corporate tourism involved as well. Though that is part of the curriculum, it's built in, it's mandatory. Obviously, when we are able to travel, although we did just send a group to Dubai, and I know we have students going to Barcelona in December as well. So travel is starting to come back for us. There are other opportunities that aren't necessarily mandatory, but you can do for credit or just as an experience. And those take place in our break weeks. Pre-COVID, we sent a group to Tel Aviv to look at the startup culture there. And we also sent a group to Shanghai to do a consulting project at Li & Fung. All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper into our full-time MBA programs. First up, we have our traditional 2-year MBA. So with this program, it is 21 months, very standard, starts in August. You have your fall semester, your spring semester, and summer internship, come back, do another fall and spring, and graduate that following May. The whole degree is STEM certified, so you don't have to do a specific concentration anymore just to get that STEM degree. The whole program is STEM. The 2-year MBA program is really geared for students who want to take advantage of that summer internship. Maybe they're looking to go from finance to marketing. Maybe they want to work in consulting or investment banking, which have those structured hires out of that internship program. But they're really looking to make a change. We also have a couple dual degree programs that tie to our 2-year MBA. One is with our law school, our 4-year JD MBA, and the other is with our Meadows School of Arts, so a Master's in Arts Management MBA program. Now you might be thinking, what exactly happens during those 2 years? So as you can see here, this is a quick snapshot of your student journey. The classes in light blue are your core classes, your required classes. We're in a cohort structure at SMU, so we're a bit of a smaller class size for the 2-year MBA program. We have about 65 students this year, split up into 2 sections, and you take all your core classes with your section. You're also in a study group that you work on group projects with. As you can see, as you progress throughout the year, you're adding in those elective courses, and then your second year is really flexible as to what you want to make of the degree. You can choose to have a different concentration or major, or you can just choose to take electives that interest you. Some of the areas that you can choose to have up to 2 majors in, or a major and a minor, are on the screen now. You can all read, but some of the most popular ones are business analytics, our strategy and entrepreneurship area, especially for those who want to go into consulting. Marketing is pretty popular, as well as some of our more niche ones. So we have a consumer engagement specialization within marketing, as well as an energy and a real estate specialization as well. So I mentioned that we have 2 different full-time MBA programs. We also have a 1-year MBA program, which is more of an accelerated degree. So for this, the key thing to note here is that this program actually starts in May. So the application cycle is a little bit different than our 2-year program, obviously, because students need to be on campus a few months earlier. It goes 3 academic semesters. So you have your summer, your fall, and your spring, and you go May to May. So 12 months. This program is also STEM certified. And the key here for students that are wondering which program is right for me is that there's no summer internship. So this program is for students who are maybe looking to get back into the workforce quickly. They still want to have that full-time student experience, but they're not looking to make a large change in their career that would require work experience through an internship program. And again, a few dual degrees. We have a 3-year JD MBA with the law school, as well as a master's in engineering with our Lyle School of Engineering. The 1-year MBA program, pretty similar journey. You start with your core classes in the light blue and add those electives as you go on into the spring. All right, so I can pivot now and talk a little bit more about Career Management Center at SMU Cox. One of the largest reasons students go to business school and get their MBA is for that career afterwards. And we understand that it's a huge part of your decision. So our Career Center gets involved really early in the process, more early than most schools, I would say. They're actually involved in the interview process. So we have a 2-step interview process at SMU. Our first round is with admissions, and then the second round is with our Career Center. And you might be saying, oh, Gail, 2 interviews, but really it's for your advantage. We want to make sure that you get to know as many stakeholders as possible at the school. Business school, it's a 2-way street, and we want to make sure that we're the right fit for you as well as you're the right fit for us. We want to make sure that you're comfortable and it's a place where you can succeed and grow, and that we know you're going to be successful. It's definitely still an interview, but the point of it is to make sure that your career goals align and that we can help you get where you want to go. So after that interview process, like I said, the Career Center, they're involved in there. They're involved in our admissions committee, but they also start working with students over the summer, doing one-to-one coaching, mock interviews, reviewing your resume. They also have a managing your career class built into our curriculum for both our 1-year and our 2-year programs. This is to help you get ready for when companies are on campus right around early September, doing presentations, doing informal coffee chats, and then internship interviews and full-time interviews later on. And the career access is not just for while you're in the program, but it is for life. So it's not looking at just that first job after you graduate, but also your future endeavors. So where do Cox students go after graduation? I will say a large portions of our students, they love Dallas, they love the DFW area, and about 80% of our students stay in the Southwest of the US. It doesn't mean we don't have companies coming in from all over. It's just what our students choose to do. We send another group to the West Coast, another group to the East Coast, and Chicago is also a little bit popular, as well as some international locations. You can see on the screen, a lot of our students go into finance, real estate, technology, and consulting. Those are probably our biggest ones at the moment, always changing depending on the industry. So for example, during the pandemic, Southwest and American and some of our hospitality companies might have hired a little bit less and other industries hired more. Things are starting to even out a little bit more. But over 100 different corporate partners, and we actually just had an in-person career fair yesterday that I know a couple different companies were at, including 7-Eleven, McKesson, and I believe Deloitte. All right, so we have moving on to admissions and the application process, as well as scholarships, which I know are important to many students. A lot of people ask me in my role in admissions, what's the ideal candidate? What are you looking for? And the truth is, and I'm not lying to you, there is no ideal candidate. We're looking for a diversity of thought and experiences. If everyone came from the same country, the same undergraduate institution, the same company, it'd be really boring and you probably wouldn't learn a lot from each other. But the 3 things that we focus on at SMU, we look at your academic profile. We are test optional, so you can choose whether to submit a GMAT, a GRE, or an executive assessment. I will say that the majority of our class will have a test score. That being said, you know yourself best, Look at our class profile. If you think your score might hurt your application, by all means, you don't have to include it. But also remember, it's one less data point for us to evaluate you on. If you have a really strong resume, a really strong undergraduate work history, great career goals, then you might not need a test. But we definitely can have a one-to-one conversation if you have any questions about that. The same thing goes for our TOEFL and IELTS, our English proficiency exams. Those are also optional for students. Some other ways we assess your academic profile other than your test score is looking at your undergraduate work and seeing, have you taken any quantitative classes? How well did you do? Are there any trends that we should be looking at? The next thing we look at is your work experience. So for our full-time MBA programs, we do require 24 months of full-time work experience by the time you start the program. So if you're looking at the 2-year MBA, you would be starting in August. So by next August, you would need to have 24 months. This doesn't include internship experiences, just because we're really looking at the level of work you have, the responsibility. And I would say our average is closer to 4 or 5 years of work experience. That being said, it's about quality, not quantity. We're looking at promotions. We're looking at what type of projects you've led. Have you managed others? All of those things go into play. Make sure you're putting those across on your resume. We usually recommend a one-page resume that's results-oriented, focusing on things that are most important to you that you think we should know. So did XYZ, which resulted in whatever the quantitative or qualitative impact to your company was. We're also a little bit different. We don't require letters of recommendation. We only require 2 professional references, similar as if you're applying for a job. Name, contact details. And it's not a secret. We don't necessarily reach out to your references. So don't worry if they don't get an email asking them to fill out a form. We only reach out if we have a specific question that we want to talk to them about, whether it's through your application or through your interview. And we'll usually reach out to you first to make sure they're still the best person to ask that to. The third thing we look at is we look at you and your experiences. Are you going to be a good fit for our community? Can we help you? What's your story? Why do you want to get an MBA? Those are all things that we assess through your essays and through our interview system. All right, coming up, we have a couple different deadlines. I know obviously our round 2 will have just passed on November 11th, but we have our round 3 deadline on January 6th, as well as our 4th deadline on March 1st. We do also have a 5th deadline in May. I always recommend submitting your application when you feel that you are most ready to do so and that you can put your best foot forward. All right, well, that's enough from me. I will turn it back over to Ankit to ask any questions that he might have.
Hi, Gail. That was a fantastic presentation, very insightful. And one theme that I got out of the entire presentation was that the school really focuses on the experiential learning out of all the different things. And that's really lovely. And I think that appeals to a lot of people who would want to apply to such a school. So fantastic. We have a couple of pre-submitted questions that I'd like to ask you. Since we've just completed round 2, so could you talk about how the applications have been so far and what would you recommend for people who are looking to apply now?
Yeah, I think our applications have been pretty stable year on year, pretty similar to last year. I think, when COVID hit, applications definitely rise a little bit. So we're seeing that kind of hold steady and definitely still have spots available in the class. It's not full by any means. Like I said, we have 5 rounds. So our first 3 rounds are probably our most popular. As far as what I could recommend for future applicants, I think really just taking the time to get to know us. Admissions people are people. We like to talk to you guys. We want to connect you with current students. Make sure it's a good fit for you. I think it's a little bit of a red flag if you apply and you never talk to anyone in the school. We're not sure how serious you might be. We want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, kind of thing. So I would say reach out to us, schedule a one-to-one. We do offer resume reviews as well. So just something that you can take advantage of.
Awesome. As a follow-up question to that, can you tell us what the chances are of somebody applying in round 1, round 2, and round 3? Do the chances improve or reduce as the rounds progress?
Yeah, I think all of the first 3 rounds have a very good chance of admission. It's really when you get closer to March, April, May, where things are a little bit trickier. We have a lot less spots in the class. Obviously, you start with a number of spots, and that continues to shrink as we go through the application cycle. So round 1 probably has the most spots. But that being said, things always fluctuate at every school throughout the cycle, and there's no disadvantage at our school for applying in round 3. rather than round 2. Like I said, apply when you feel you have your best application to put forward. So if you need to retake an exam, don't stress about it. Make sure you take the time and study for that.
So apply when you're ready.
Right.
Is what you're referring to. All right. Since we're on the topic, a question that probably some people have is that can we apply for both the 2-year program and the 1-year program simultaneously?
You cannot. So you have to pick your first choice, is what I would say. Usually, sometimes our team is really familiar with seeing people that were like, maybe they're a better fit for the 1-year program. And we might bring that up in the interview. We might say, are you open to either program? What do you think is the best fit for you? And we might have that discussion, whether it's through the interview or through the application process. But I would pick your first choice.
And do you do that? So let's say you find a candidate who would be better suited for the 1-year program. So do you offer them a seat there and they're allowed to kind of take that offer if they can?
Yes, we do. We always have that discussion with them to make sure that's something they're interested in. We don't want to, make any assumptions by any means, but we'll do our best to make sure that we find the right fit for the candidate.
Okay. One last question on the applications front. How would you treat a candidate who has had a gap year when they're applying? So probably they've been away from work for a couple of years or let's say a year. How would you treat that candidate?
Yeah, I think having a gap year right now especially is pretty common given the pandemic. It's not something that we're going to penalize you for. I would say don't necessarily quit your job to study for an exam or too early in the process, because that could hurt you on the recruiting side of things a little bit more. But I think it's really utilizing that optional essay to make, to tell that story, to explain why you took a gap year, whether it's family, personal reasons, maybe you were furloughed, maybe you lost your job. Completely understandable. And it's looking at your whole history. If you took a gap year now or 3 different times throughout your career, that might be a little bit of a different story, right? But definitely have a chance to explain in that optional essay.
Okay. We're going to jump on to the career side of things now. So how do you think an MBA from SMU Cox would help professionals during the current job market? Or if we could focus on Dallas as a market, because you mentioned that you fuel a lot of MBAs into the Dallas market. So could you talk a bit about that, please?
Yeah, I think that, an MBA is definitely not for everyone, right? You need to know your story and it's a big investment, time and money. So making sure that you've done your research, talk to our team, talk to our career center, making sure that you're going to get the best ROI as possible. But right now, employers love students that have master's degrees, that have that further education, building up the network at the school. I think it's a great time to get an MBA and to go back to school and really focus on reflecting on yourself and what skill sets you need to improve in order to, like I said earlier, not just get that first job, but to continue to progress throughout your career.
So since we're on the topic, could you also talk about the internship or the recruiting assistance that is provided by the school? You did mention you had a slide about it, but I'm sure candidates would want to know more about it. And I'm guessing it's more focused towards candidates applying for the 2-year program rather than the 1-year program. So could you talk about that?
Yeah, not a problem. So yes, you're right. Internship recruiting, but all students have recruiting assistants, whether they're the 1-year or the 2-year program. But usually our students, it does start over the summer with those one-to-one chats. And we do go to our Forte conference, National Black, different larger community corporate recruiting events throughout the summer that students have access to and can meet one-to-one with our career center then. But also recruiting on campus, I would say there's probably a different company every day on campus. I think PepsiCo was here a couple days ago. It just really depends on the day, and you walk by and you see the interviews, you see the corporate presentations. But the internship is required as part of the curriculum for the 2-year program. It is built into the credit hour system. So our career center does everything they can. I mean, no matter what school you go to, the job is not going to be given to you on a silver platter. I wish. But they do everything they can to make sure that you have the right network in place, prepare you for whether it's a case interview for consulting or a technical interview for a marketing role. They want to make sure that you're ready to go. And we also have an associate board mentorship program that students can get involved in. So for that, we have about 300 different executives, mostly in Dallas, a lot of alumni that students can match up with and learn more about a particular industry, get that access to their network, and make sure that they have some advice from someone who's living and breathing the job they're looking at.
So there are certain schools that provide candidates the offer to, instead of an internship, probably uh, do a capstone project
Yeah.
or probably do a business project throughout the summer. So is that option available to candidates studying at Cox School of Business?
Yeah, so usually we have some students who are more looking at entrepreneurship, maybe they're looking at their own
Mm,
business, or sponsored international students who can't work a summer internship. So sometimes they'll work with faculty doing research
mm.
projects or working on their own business plan as well.
So that option is available. All right. Uh, I'm going to move on to a very unique aspect that I noticed about the school, is that the smaller class size. So you mentioned that you had 65 students in
Mhm.
the class for 2021. So why is it that you have a smaller class size as compared to other US business schools, which have a much larger class size?
Yeah. So it's just something that we're really focused on, especially lately. We want to make sure we have a close knit community, a lot of collaboration, like I said, a lot of group project work. We want to make sure that we have the right resources in place to help the students that we think are going to be successful, and make sure that they're getting everything they can out of the program. So our 2-year program this year is about 65 students. It can range anywhere from about 50 to 80 maybe. We're looking at making sure we don't have a hard cutoff. We're looking at making sure we have the right students and that they're going
Mhm.
to add value to the program and we can add value to their experience. And then our 1-year program is roughly around 40 to 50 students as well. But that being said, it is a smaller program, but we have a lot of other programs at the business school. So we have a large working professional MBA and executive MBA, specialized master's students, and there's roughly about 12,000 students in the wider university. So you're not just 60
Mhm.
students sitting alone, but it does help to have an average class size of about 35 students or so for your classes, and you get to know faculty really well.
Awesome. Uh, so probably the final question that I have for
Okay.
you is, what sets SMU Cox School of Business apart from other business schools? So what do you love about the school, which differentiates it from the other business schools?
Yeah, I think what I love the location. I love being able to just step outside and see the energy that the students bring to campus. I joke around with some of our students. They beat me to the office. I mean, I start work at 8:30 and students don't have class till 9, but they're all in their study groups downstairs when I walk in. We have tacos for the students every couple weeks for lunchtime and just getting to know them.
Wow.
And just the flexibility, like I said earlier, you can be as specialized
Mhm.
as you want by having those concentrations or those majors, or you can just take classes that interest you or that push you outside your comfort zone. So it's really
Mhm.
about making the program what you want it to be.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Gail. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for taking the time out. I'm sure a lot of viewers got a lot more insights about the school. Probably they learned a lot more than what was available on the website. So thank you so much for doing this. And I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you all for joining in. Bye bye.